What is good, guys? Brain Gains here, your favorite math tutor. In this episode, we're going to be doing some translating graphs functions. Let's get started. All right, if the above graph of y equals 6x cubed is a result of a parallel translation, all right, I'm already seeing a keyword. This is a result of a parallel translation of the equation f of x by minus 3 in the x direction. So it went left 3 units and it went down 4 units. It says minus 4 in the positive y direction. What is the equation of f of x? So what we're seeing is the result. Okay, this is key. This is the result. We want to figure out the function that after these translations caused this result. So if this is the result of going left 3 down 4, then that means our previous function, our original f of x, was to the right 3 and up 4. So here will be our central spot, and this will be what our original function looks like. So what is this value going to be? Well, our function equals, here we know it's 6x cubed, so we have a 6, and then we have x minus 3 cubed plus 4. So this answer is D. Excellent. So some of you might be a little bit curious as to why this value is minus 3 instead of plus 3. The best answer I can give you is because we're looking for the value where x minus 3, this whole quantity, will equal 0. And whenever x is positive 3 is whenever this quantity equals to 0. That is why we have a minus 3 here instead of a plus 3. If we had a plus 3 and x was positive 3, then it would be 6, not 0. So that is my 5-second explanation as to why. If you're more curious, if you really don't understand it, put it down in the comment section below, and I'll do my best to answer your question as thoroughly as possible. All right, next problem. The above graph is the result of a parallel translation of y equals x squared. If the graph undergoes another translation in 9 units in the x direction, so we're going 9 units in the x direction and 6 units in the y direction, what is the equation of the resulting graph? So where are we starting? We're starting at 3, 5. Here I'll write these numbers bigger. We're going to go over 9 more. So 3 plus 9 is 12. So we're going to go all the way over to 12. And we're going to go up to 5 plus 6 is 11. So we're going to go up to 11. So our starting coordinate is here. This is where our graph is going to be. It's still going to be our parabola, and this origin point for our graph is at the coordinate what? It's at the coordinate 12, 11. So what is the function for this graph? Well, it's going to be f of x equals x. Now we've moved over to the right 12, so minus 12 squared, and we've moved up 11 units, so plus 11. X minus 12 squared plus 11. This first answer choice looks great. Excellent. Let's clear our board. What do we have here? If the graph of the above circle with center 3, 5 and radius 4 undergoes a translation of 4 in the x direction. So here, let me change colors. I'm tired of this blue. 4 in the x direction, so we're going to the right 4 units, and 4 in the 4 in the x direction, and 9 in the positive y direction, and 9 units up, what is the equation of the resulting graph in quadratic form? Quadratic form is just fully expanded and equal to 0. But the easiest equation for a circle is what? How do we like to see the equation for a circle? We like to see it as x squared plus y squared equals the radius squared. This is the basic circle formula where the centered at the origin. Here the center is at coordinate 3, 5. So what is the function for the circle shown in this picture? Well, it's going to be x minus 3 squared plus y minus 5 squared equals 16, as 4 squared is 16 and our radius is 4. Now if we go over 4 units to the right and up 9 units, how will this change? Well, if we go over 4 more, we'll be at 7. And if we go up 9 more, we'll be at 14. So here we're at 7 and 14. So our new central coordinate will be 7, 14. And so if we write our circle function with this central coordinate in mind, we'll have x minus 7 squared plus y minus 14 squared equals, and our radius is still 4, so it still equals 16. Now let's expand this. When we expand this, we'll have x squared minus 14x plus 49 plus y squared minus 28y plus 196 equals 16. Now right here we can continue to simplify and finish the problem, but we have answer choices, and so what I recommend if you're doing a timed test, or if you just have a test with answer choices, look at them, use them to help you. I see that we have a negative 28y term here and a negative 14x term. Whenever I go over and look at my answer choices, I see a negative 14x and a positive 28y. This can't be it. Positive and negative can't be it. Negative and negative, this looks good. Positive and positive, this can't be it. So my answer has to be C, as it's the only one where the signs of my terms match up. Excellent. Let's continue on. Here we have the graph of y equals 5 times the quantity x minus 5 squared plus 7. This function undergoes a translation of 3 units in the positive direction of the x-axis. So we're going to the right 3 units, and we're going to be going down 1 unit in the y direction. What is the equation of the resulting graph? Well, we can see that we're initially at what coordinate point for this bottom part of our parabola? We're at 5 and 7. As this is a 5 here, this is a minus 5 here, and this is a positive 7. So if we're going to go 3 more units to the right, our function's going to change to 5 times x minus 8. And then if we're going down 1 unit, it's going to change from a 7 to a 6 plus 6. So x minus 8 plus 6, this is C. Let me double check. Yes, minus 8 plus 6, yes. Excellent. Let's check out this problem. If the graph of y equals negative 8x squared minus 80x minus 38 undergoes a translation of negative 3 in the positive direction of the x-axis, so it goes to the left 3 units, and we're going and 3 in the positive direction of the y-axis, and then we're going to go up 3 in the y direction. What is the what is the equation of the resulting graph? In here they give us our equation in expanded form. This is not the form we typically like having. We like having functions in the, well, let's look at our previous problem. We like equations in this form. Here we can directly see what our value is for our translation. We can see that this value here has to be 5, 7 whenever it's in this form. So this is the desirable form that we want. I don't remember what this form is called, but this is the form we like whenever we're translating parabolas. In this current problem, we do not have it in that form. So that's what we need to look for, or we need to figure out a way to still solve this problem. So what can we do here? Well, how can we find this coordinate? If we can find this coordinate, we can put our function into the easy to manipulate form and then manipulate it and solve the equation to have our answer. So how can we find this apex? Well, one thing that comes to mind is we can find these zeros, and because of the nature of a parabola, there's a symmetry to it. So if we find these zeros, find the average of it and cut it in half, then we'll be at the x value for our coordinate, and then we can plug our x value into the function and we'll get our y value, and that could be a way to solve the problem. It's a little bit of work, but nothing better than solving a hard problem. Delayed satisfaction is very, very important. Okay, so how can we do this? How can we find these roots? When will y equal 0 is the question. So we want to factor this, and okay, this looks totally gnarly to factor. So what are we going to have to do? Let's use the quadratic formula. We have negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So if you can factor this, go ahead and factor it, but if you can't, use the quadratic formula to find your roots. And what do you do when you plug it in? Well, negative b is going to be negative 80, so this is going to be positive 80, plus or minus the square root of b squared of 80 squared minus 4ac. It is technically negative 80, but a negative squared is a positive, so I'm just not going to clutter it up. Minus 4 times a times c. 4 times a, 4 times negative 8 is negative 32. And so we have negative 32 times c, which is negative 38. And then this is all divided by 2 times a. A is, again, negative 8, so 2 times negative 8 is negative 16. All right, so let's simplify this radical. What do we have here? We have 80 squared minus negative 32 times negative 38. So both of these terms are negative, so the resulting multiplication is going to be positive value. So let's multiply 38 and 32. So 38 times 32. 2 times 8 is 16, put a 6, carry your 1. 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 is 7. Put your 0. 3 times 8 is 24, put a 4, carry your 2. 3 times 3 is 9, plus 2 is 11. Add it up, 6, 4 plus 7 is 11. 1 plus 1 is 2, 1. So we have 1216, and 80 squared is 6400. So we have 6400 minus 1216. Bottom number is bigger, so you borrow. So we get a 4 here, 8, 5, I believe, and let's add it to double check. 4 plus 6 is 10. Carrier 1, 8 plus 1 is 10. Carrier 1, 1 plus 1 plus 2 is 4. 5 plus 1 is 6. All right, so this is good. So what is the square root of 5,184? That's the question. All right, don't ask me why I know this, guys. I would plug this into a calculator if you have one, but I happen to know that this is 72. That's just a handy thing I know. I would plug it into a calculator, but plug it in, double check me, but this value is 72. Square root of 5,184 is 72. So what do we have? Let me clear up some space. So this square root simplified to 72. So what we have now is 80 plus or minus 72 all divided by negative 16 is our roots. So we have 80 plus 72, which is, I believe, 158. Right? 52. Yeah, 2 and then 15, right? And this is all over negative 16. Here, let me clear this up. This is 152. And so this is one root, and our other root is 80 minus 72 is positive 8. So 8 over negative 16. All right, so now what do I know? What was I looking for these roots? For what reason? These roots are these values. Okay, one value is negative 152 over 16, and the other value is 8 over negative 16. So I want this x value. So what I can do is I can add these up, and I get 160 over negative 16, which simplifies to 10, which simplifies to negative 10. And then we divide it by 2 because we're finding the average, and this equals negative 5. So this is saying if I split this parabola in half, this x value is going to be negative 5. And so now I know the x coordinate for the apex of this parabola, and it's going to be negative 5. And now I can plug negative 5 into the original function to find the y value. So I have negative 8 times 5 squared. Well, 5 squared is 25. How much money do you have if you have 8 quarters? Well, you'll have $2. So negative 8 times 25 is negative 200. And then we have minus 80 times minus 5. So it's going to be a plus. What's 80 times 5? Well, 20 nickels is $1. So 80 nickels is $4. So this is 400. And then we have minus 38. And what is this value? Well, 200 plus 400, or negative 200 plus 400 is 200. And what is 200 minus 38? 200 minus 38 is 162. So, wow, this is a long problem, but it's worth it. It's good that we can see all this math. This is great. This is great. I really like this one. So what is our function? We know our coordinate is negative 5, comma 162. So this function must be equivalent to what? Well, we have a negative 8 times our x plus 5 squared plus 162. So the expression I just wrote in this nice bubblegum pink is equal to this original expression that they gave us, except now it's in our desirable form, which we like. And so we can now look at our translation. Again, our translation was to the left 3, and wait, let's see. a translation of -3 in the positive direction of the x-axis and +3 in the direction of the y-axis. So to the left 3 and then up 3 will be what? So this is going to be -8 times x plus 8 squared plus 165. Now we just need to expand this and we will have our answer. So what do we have? Well, we need to do order of operations, right? So we do parentheses first. So we have -8 times x squared plus 16x plus 64. And then we're going to add 165 at the tail. And so just like we talked about in a couple problems ago, before we multiply by 8 by all of this, so let's just look at our answer choices and choose the one where our signs will match. Okay, we're going to have a -8x squared. These are all -8x squareds. Is 128x going to be positive or negative? Well, we have a -8 times a 16, so this is going to be minus 128x. And then we have a -8 times a 64. Okay, this is a very large negative number. We see all of our last numbers are 347. So is it going to be plus 347 or minus 347? Well, it has to be minus 347, as 8 times 64. I'm not sure what that is in my head, but I do know that it's much larger than 165. Therefore, B, the answer where they're all negative, must be the answer. Submit it. Excellent. All right, guys. This was some translating graphs problems. I hope you enjoyed. Please comment down below what you learned and what you'd like to see in future videos. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. Until next time, take care.